Well, I hope everybody had a chance to have a cup of coffee and a muffin while you were waiting. I'll call a meeting of February 6th to order for the County Commissioners meeting, and I'd open it up for a public comment. Yes, Daymond.
Any decisions made after your phone call?
Any decisions made?
Or do you think you'll be making some?
I think the phone call was a clarification of the right to know law. Client commissioners meeting, council.
So
What are you looking at him for?
I'm looking at
You
all
waiting
of
for him to say something?
Oh, well, I'm just wondering, is this clarification gonna amount to anything that the public will be able to learn about?
Do you want to comment on it?
I'd say no.
Okay.
I mean, not know that I don't want to comment, that no, the public won't learn anything different.
Okay. Well,
We're following the rules the way they should be followed,
okay.
as referenced by the recommendation from our council.
Okay.
Anybody else, public comment? Yes, sir.
My name is James Hazzard. I'm here for the same reason I was here last week.
Okay.
I had so much fun, I decided to come back and, again, learn a little bit more how everything's done. And I'm with an Oath Keepers organization, and again, it's all about the Constitution and how everyone stands doing that and looking at it. How you guys make decisions, all along those lines. So my wife Jane is here with me, and looking forward to learning and hearing more.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Any other further public comments? Seeing none, I'd invite Attorney Gordon to address the board.
Good morning.
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 Good morning. I just want to introduce the newest Assistant County Attorney, please, Brandon Gerrode. He's a new attorney, recently passed the bar and started last Friday. This is Commissioner Babson,
Brandon Gerrode.
Commissioner Sorenson.
Dave Sorenson.
Commissioner Kenny. Yep.
What is the name?
Brandon Gerrode, G-A-R-O-D.
Brandon.
Yep.
Give us a little bit more background, where you went to school and a little bit about yourself.
Recent graduate of the University of Maine School of Law. Graduated in May, bar in July. Prior to that, I spent 4 years at Keene State College, studied sociology.
Are you a New Hampshire resident?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Grew up in Guilford.
Okay.
Currently residing there as well.
All right, great. Great. You're going to be moving to Carroll County, or you're going to stay there?
Actually, I'm moving to Stratford County.
Okay.
He's young. He wants to have a life, occasionally.
When I can.
That's right. Right.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very
Yeah.
Good luck.
Pleasure to meet you all.
Good luck.
Yes, welcome.
Are you working today, or are you just here?
Yes.
Oh, no, we
No, no,
started
he's on the
Friday.
clock.
Started Friday.
Yeah, he's on the clock.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good, thank you.
great. Any questions for me about the office or whatever?
No?
No?
Okay, good,
No.
good, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes early, even though we started late. We want to approve some minutes.
Yep. Did you get a chance to read non-public minutes from last week, the 2 sets?
I did not, I'm sorry.
You didn't read
I
it?
looked for it and I didn't.
Commissioner Babson, did you have a chance to read the 2 sets?
I don't have a set of them, so I haven't
Because
read them.
I gave it, you had, I think you had one?
We had them last week.
You have,
yeah.
yeah, you
And I
have.
gave them back to you. I don't keep that
Then
kind of thing.
Commissioner Sorenson has them. then.
No, I don't have them. You
So
must
we
have
are-
them.
No, you didn't give it back to me because you want to have to, you want to read them. So he had one and you had one.
I'll look some more on my desk. I have the minutes from last week, but I don't have the non-public minutes.
Here we go again. Also, you were going to ask Dorothy Solomon for the non-public minutes of December 5th of 2012.
I don't know if did I say I was gonna do that?
Yeah, she was, that is what
I
she
didn't do
said
that.
last
She's
year.
been on vacation, for one thing.
So
So
if
the
you
minutes
have
for,
the-
for when?
I believe it was December 5th, 2012.
December 5th, non-public?
Yes. Well, then we have the public minutes of January 30, 2013. Is there any corrections? Commissioners
Which one?
have any
30?
corrections? The public minutes from
What?
January 30.
30, okay.
No corrections?
I don't have any.
I
Then-
didn't see any from last week.
Then I make a motion to approve the public minutes of January 30, 2013. As presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Okay, a motion to approve the January 30th Commissioners' meetings. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay, and so voted.
A couple of reports.
Sure.
As noted in the minutes, I followed up with a Director of Public Works in Ossipee and began a discussion about the possibilities of recycling the cans and the plastic bottles from the nursing home, which I would hope would also include this building somehow. He was receptive to the idea, and we'll talk to them about how we could work out the finances and the physical transportation of the materials. The other thing is, we have a meeting. I'd have to look at my
You're talking just about cans and bottles?
cans and bottles from the nursing home.
What
From anywhere
about
else.
cardboard?
You got a contract for the cardboard,
Okay.
but that's something we should look at in the future. Also, we have our first PATH meeting on Thursday afternoon. Trail.
Oh.
This Thursday?
Coming up this Thursday?
Yep.
Good. Just another quick report. I'm going to be speaking to the Ossipee Rotary Monday night at 5:30. I met with their president yesterday morning and said that maybe we've got some projects that Ossipee Rotary can help with. One is the trail and one is the gardens at the nursing home. The two gardens that we need to complete this spring. They're the Alzheimer's gardens. We've got plans for those, but we need somebody that's going to take the bull by the horns and do something. And so I'm going to be speaking with them to see if we can get some volunteer help. And if anybody's got any suggestions of something else that they might get involved in, let me know. There's about 30 members now in that group. So those are the two projects I'll speak about. If there's other projects that we need to talk about and getting some help from that Rotary Club, then please let me know.
And what time are you speaking, David?
5:30,
When?
and it's
Monday?
at the Indian Pound, 5:30 Monday, yeah.
Golf
It's at the Indian Pound Golf Course. I guess there's like a restaurant there
It
too.
is.
That's where they meet. Anything else to report this morning? We did attend last week the jail subcommittee and also the
Nursing home
Sheriff.
Sheriff's Department.
and the nursing home.
I don't think
Nursing
so.
home?
I don't
When
think
was
we
that?
did. Nursing home's coming up on the 11th.
When were we there? I was there. Was it this week or the last part of last week?
Must be 2 weeks ago.
It must have been 2 weeks
I
ago.
don't think so.
There was a jail and sheriff this past week.
Right, and wasn't it the nursing home since Wednesday of last week?
The performance audit committee met on Friday, and then,
It was probably in January then.
January 25th was the Mountain View Community Meeting.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah. So we had only.
Mountain View was January 25th on a Friday, right? at
Yeah,
9
we had
o'clock.
only the jail and the sheriff last Monday.
Yep. Anybody else got anything else to report? No cooperative extension meeting or anything? Okay. Go ahead, Damon, we got time, I'll let you go.
Great, thanks. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the public becoming involved in the nursing home admittance policy. I'm wondering if the commission would have any interest in holding a public hearing before adopting that policy, if they haven't already.
We haven't. We can. We could.
I would favor it.
It seemed like, you know, a lot of thought went into it, and I know Howie had a idea that once he had a draft finalized, the public should have some input and comment on it.
I'd like to ask that the nursing home had some input into it
Right.
before we do anything too. Because that was a request of ours to have a group at the nursing home take a look at that policy and make some recommendations as well. Okay, I guess right now we've been, what's that?
I wanted to.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think we should have a public hearing, Damon, until Howie comes up with what he perceives as almost his finished product, because we know that's the way it's supposedly gonna go, and the public can come in at that point and help him. You know, as you remember, he had a list of
Right.
11 or 12 priority steps, and once he finalizes that, the way he'd like it, and the way the nursing home would like it, then I think it's very appropriate to have the public come in and see if they can either convince him that his is a good idea, or maybe we ought to tweak it.
I thought he was done.
I don't know.
I don't think he is.
Good suggestion.
Thanks.
Next week on the 11th, the nursing home, I believe it's at 10 o'clock, subcommittee. And Kronos is going to be coming in at our meeting next week to explain where we are with that recording system.
When's the subcommittee, Dave?
I think it's on the 11th at 10 o'clock. And it's the nursing home.
Okay.
Yes,
At the
Melissa?
11th, I think we have two. 10 is the nursing home, and at 12:30 is something else.
I got 10 o'clock, so
At 12:30, I think it's another one.
12:30?
Yeah,
It's a strange
I don't
time.
know what it is there, but just that meeting.
We'll have to look at the notices downstairs in the lobby to find out. Go ahead.
At last, can I approach? I have something for you.
Yeah.
Papers. Last week, after discussion about the master plan committee, it was suggested that a list of ideas for membership be brought forward. That one has your name on it, whichever, for the same thing. So I had drafted up that and sent it to the business office. Kathy printed it off this morning, and it's a double-sided, just some ideas as well as some names of people who have confirmed their interest.
So out of 75, we've gotten 5 responses.
That was in 24 hours. 5
Pretty good.
confirmed, that's pretty good.
That's good.
Just one for you too. to the recording secretary as well.
Thank you.
Sorry, this is my reach. I think.
Thank you very much.
Will this be open to all the commissioners, or are you looking for one commissioner?
This is her recommendation. The board then sets who's going to be
Right.
on the committee, actually.
The thought was, though, that the commissioners, obviously it would be a public forum, anyone could come, but perhaps, to try to take the burden off actually participating, taking that off the commissioners, but yet consulting with the commissioners.
I think all three commissioners can attend.
Sure. I mean, there's no, but not to feel obligated to actually have to do the work. That's kind of the committee. The idea of the committee is to set it up to assist the commissioners with developing a plan, so. There's been a lot of interest, even if people don't want to, or don't have the time or the ability to serve on the committee. Gotten a lot of positive feedback and a lot of suggestions of others who might be interested, or ideas of what could or should be included in the plan. It just seems to have created a buzz.
My name's on this.
Do you know which selectmen's offices you didn't contact?
I contacted, I didn't contact any in the northern area. And it went as far as Tamworth and Freedom, but that was just because I wanted to get it out quickly and I didn't look up addresses.
Okay, thank you for doing that. Any further questions on that? Okay, Jason, good morning.
This morning's population, we have 46 in-house, 0 weekenders, 0 out on electronic monitoring, 4 transfers, 2 out on pretrial release, for a total population of 52. Took in 13 inmates last week, 5 were repeaters, and 16 were released. We broke down the tables in our former contact visiting room. The reason why we did that is because we want to get rid of them and replace them with more of like a folding table type, because we're using that area for attorney visits, DCYF, Bible study and things of that nature, and we wanted to make it more of a business style environment rather than a hard setting.
What room is this in?
This was our former contact visiting room.
Okay.
It was the stainless steel tables with the solid stools around them. So I wanted to get rid of them, and then because they're county property, I need to come to you guys and ask how you want to do that. So any thoughts on how we can get rid of them?
Jason, when I talked to you about them, I thought you said you had someone that might be interested.
Yep, I do have another facility that's interested in them.
As a gift or as a sale?
I'm thinking sale.
Okay. Are they willing to buy, purchase?
I can ask them.
Are they in a condition that you could set one up for, if we put them out for bid, someone could come and view and see what one of them would look like together? They were the
Sure.
round ones, right? With a
Yep,
couple of
absolutely.
chairs?
Yep, we can set it up. and
How many
take it.
are there?
7. 7 of them.
We're 7. Okay, okay, I know what you mean now.
They were in the big gathering room.
Yep,
They were like
Yep.
the lunch tables.
right. So there's 7 tables and 3 chairs each table? or-
4. It's
4
three,
chairs each
yeah.
table? Wow.
Yeah. But they're fixed, I mean, it's not, you can't move them around, I know you
benches.
remember those, but, yeah, they're stools. Yeah.
Well, give us a chance to think about that some more, I guess.
Okay.
What do you, have you got any idea, Jason, what the value of them would be?
I don't. I know we're gonna see how much it would cost to, what we would get if we were just completely scrap them out. I don't know what, Joe was looking into that. But I don't know how much, I
That
mean,
would be my
Stainless steel?
last option.
scrapping.
And there's gotta be somebody or some organization worth in scrapping them, that if we have to, we can give them to them, but I would think there's some value to them.
Yep. I can find out what they go for new and then try to prorate it out when they're 9 years old. I mean,
They're not
Still-
damaged though, are they?
no, they might have some minor scratches on them, but nothing substantial.
They're stainless steel?
The tops are, the benches, the stools are, everything else is painted steel.
Okay.
We did have that meeting last week to discuss the inmate work program in the nursing home. We have a follow-up meeting today to talk about the progress. And then just looking for any feedback from last week's proposals. Yes.
No, we haven't.
Still thinking about that, okay.
We'll take another look at that this week.
Okay.
And see where we go.
All right.
See where we go with that recommendation from you.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions, Jason?
Are we going to have a non-public session with Captain Fowler?
Is Captain Fowler in today?
He's in today, yeah.
Then why don't we have a non-public,
You going to add non-public at the agenda?
probably at, we got a conference call again on 11:15. What about 11:30? 11:30, all right?
Is there a lawyer that's gonna talk very much?
I don't know what he's gonna
This is a
say.
different one, huh?
What's that?
This is somebody else, but this is a different lawyer.
Yeah. Well, you want to say 11:45?
Well, I think 11:30, but I don't know what the subject is, what he's going to talk about, and how long it takes.
How about 11 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that during the Commissioners' work session. We can break for that.
You want him over here for 11?
Yeah.
For non-public?
And Jason, it's about the email that he sent to us on
Yeah,
Okay.
non-public session.
you should be here too.
At 11 a.m.? Okay.
Okay, so 11 o'clock.
Any other questions? No? All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
When you get that whole budget changed over what the subcommittee recommended, make sure you get Kathy Gary gets a copy of it,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
Okay, Will?
David, we also have Jan Sullivan, we were gonna do 10 more pages.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
Morning.
Good morning.
Willie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Have a good vacation?
It was. It's great.
Good weather?
Yes. I understand why there's snowbirds now. They go down there. It was beautiful.
Well, welcome back. When
Well, I've been back for a
we
week.
get a big snowstorm on Friday at 10 or 12 inches, you'll be right back in
All right.
full force. Thank you for putting together a written report, by the way.
Just have a couple quick things. I told you folks a couple weeks ago we need to pull the radiator. We did pull the radiator. Got to take it out. I just haven't had time to take it somewhere.
Did you get the name of the two places you were asking me about?
Yes,
Okay.
Sanford and Rochester. Hopefully next week I can get that delivered, depending on how the storms go. Delivery truck, we had the dump body in, and they took, sanded all the rust spots down basically and repainted the outside of it. Looks a lot better. There could be a little bit more we could do, but for the most part it's done. Wayne McBrien responded while I was gone to a smell of propane at this building, called Eastern Propane. They replaced the regulator downstairs, but he said that the meter's probably going to need to be replaced this spring. It's something they could hold off till the spring. It's not a major deal, but if it's a long drawn out thing to take it off and have to shut the boilers down and all that kind of stuff, so he wanted to wait till warmer weather to replace that. And I guess he gave Wayne an estimated around $200 that'll cost to replace that.
Okay.
We've had a couple issues in the water department. One of them was a freeze up. They let their meter freeze up and the freeze plate on the bottom, which is designed, busted out. Well, then once everything unthawed, they had water gushing. There's the warehouse down on Old 28, gushing out all over the place. So we had to go down there, shut the water off, and replace the freeze plate.
Yeah, no, that's their fault that it froze, right? Whose fault is it that it froze?
Yeah, I
Other
mean,
than the weather?
it's their fault. It wasn't too long. It was basically just a freeze plate that we replaced on it, so it's not anything too...
I was thinking about any water damage.
Right, oh yeah, that's their responsibility. It's
Okay.
their responsibility to keep, and we told them that, they might need to put either a heater over there when they get that real cold weather, or put some heat tape on it to keep it from doing that, because they tend to turn the heat off at night and on the weekends, and we had that real cold weather there for a week, and that's probably, the two together is what caused it. So we replaced that and led us to find in our inventory that we're very short on freeze plates and things. So we had to place an order for a few different parts that we need to have in the water department. Also just wanted to mention that we have plenty of hay for sale. If there's anybody out there looking for hay, we do. I want to advertise probably pretty soon here. I'd like to push some of that hay out. We got probably, I'm guessing at least 600, maybe 800 bales out there.
100 bales, you say?
600 to 800.
600 to 800?
Yes, of feed hay.
Is that normal for us to have that many?
Not really. Usually we're all sold out by now. I try to have it all sold out before the first of the year so that revenue can hit that year's budget.
Yeah.
But this year, we had customers that have gotten rid of animals or gotten less animals, different reasons, I guess. Just had less sold.
So what's the selling price of bale?
It's $4.25 out of the barn and $5 a bale delivered, as long as they're within 20-25 miles.
Go ahead.
Willie, are you going to advertise, do we have a market bulletin subscription here in the county?
Yes, we do, and that's where I plan to advertise.
You're going to put it in there?
Yes.
Make sure it goes on our website.
Okay.
Wait a week before you. I got to sell my hay next week, will you?
We have a conflict of interest here.
Oh, where's Mark Conkey when you need him? Yeah, so you're gonna advertise it there?
Yes, that's where I plan to start with, because since we have the subscription, it doesn't cost us anything. Just have to go
The
online.
grain store allow you to put up an ad?
Probably, I don't know.
Well, they have their own hay, so they sell their own hay, so maybe not. But how about Tractor Supply or?
Right, I could check. I know that.
You could
I
put
know
a
it's-
notice up there.
Yeah, I know it's with Tractor Supply. It's in the hallway back towards the bathrooms is where they let you post stuff. I don't know how many people actually go out of their way to look back there, but it's worth putting a flyer up or something if we need to. I think just getting a little bit, hopefully anybody watching or getting the market bulletin and stuff. I think it'll eventually go. When we get towards the spring, there's people always running low anyway, so I'm not too concerned about it. But I'd like to, basically, I like to move it out so we got some more room in the barn to put some campfire wood, make life a little easier with that. But I think it'll go.
There's a couple other very good places you could put it. One is the Tamworth Exchange, which is I don't know how you get on it, but you could contact Representative Ticehurst and she could tell you. It's there every day, and the sandwich board comes out every day, which is the same type of deal.
Sandwich board, you call it?
Sandwich board, yeah.
Okay.
And you have to submit your name and whatever in order to post it there, but a lot of people read it, and they're local, and they might buy it.
Okay.
Do we have any mulch hay left?
We have a little bit left out there. I'm not too concerned. We have regular customers that constantly buying that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we'll probably run out of that before the season starts, just the way it goes. We got regular contractors that buy directly from us, and then we supply other folks also.
Mhm.
So that's the hay. Also, we've been trying to get out, as weather permitting, 6 to 7 inmates a day for bagging wood. We've gotten into that. It's been 2-3 days a week at least. You know, I try to pick out the warmer days. I like to get it close to at least 30 degrees or whatever. We got a crew of 7 out today, so they're not out there freezing. But, you know, we try to get them out to work. Most of them have been working really well, the ones that we've had coming out. So.
Go ahead.
Do you have any land that needs to be plowed?
That needs to be plowed?
Need to be plowed?
You know, the Granite State Draft Horse Association puts on plow days, and they draw quite a crowd, and it's good advertising for the association, and you get your fields plowed, and I didn't know whether you might have some interest in putting on a plow day out here. All you have to do is supply the land.
Right.
Plenty of that.
I think
And I don't know whether they're interested, but I know we've got 2 or 3 places we're gonna go in April, and
Yeah,
especially if you've got dry land early in the year.
right.
So if you're interested, let me know.
Was that up to where we had our gardens, where you had, did you have pumpkins there this year? Up where the pigs are?
I didn't have anything there this
Nothing.
last year, but I want to put, where the pigs were, I want to make that a garden. That was the reason I had them there. But I'd like to either put pumpkins or winter squash.
Maybe they could plow that?
Yeah, I don't know how big of an area. They probably want something bigger though, I'd imagine.
Well, you probably get 10 or 15 teams here, and
Oh.
they can plow quite a patch.
Wow.
Right.
Something
we
to
can
think about.
Yeah, something that we can definitely keep in mind. Because there are areas in hayfields that could be redone, you know, if we have all the equipment and the reseeding and all that, that could be done at some point. The other thing I didn't put on the sheet that just reminds me talking about that is June 29th, the Cooperative Extension, Dot Perkins, which is out of Merrimack County, wants to do a goat clinic, basically. It's for people that have a few different goats, maybe 3-4 goats. There's the state vet is going to be there to give out vaccines that the goats need. They're also going to do a series of, it's mostly designed for dairy goats. They're going to do a class on safe handling of the milk, and then they're also going to do a class on other diseases and shots and things that the animals should have.
Is that a case where people are gonna bring their goats here?
Yes.
To be vaccinated?
Yep, they'll bring their goats here. The biggest challenge I'm gonna have, I've already talked to her on a lot of the details. I said I needed to run it by the commissioners, but I said, you know, I didn't think the commissioners would have a problem with something like that. She's had some of the other, she's trying to do a southern, middle part, and a northern part of the state, do 3 different clinics. The northern part wasn't working out, so she's gonna try us in another part. Other places she's looked at, they actually charge her to use an area to put this clinic on, which gets passed on to the people bringing their goats. And I said, here, there wouldn't be any charge for that.
Right.
One of the challenges is I have to have enough, I gotta make some temporary type of holding pens for the animals so that they can bring them in and the vet can go through them. But I think that's something we can handle. But just wanted to let the commissioners know that she asked to do that. I said I didn't think it should be a problem.
Do we still have snow fence around here that you could use for the pens?
We have a little bit here and there that we might be able to do with some of it.
We should have some of that red fencing. It was Cooperative Extension. We had it way back when we had the pig scrambles.
Yeah.
I don't know, last time I saw it was in the old barn where the cow stanchions were.
Yep, I've got a bunch that I've consolidated at one spot that I found around, so it's probably there that we can put some stuff together.
Okay. You were on the landscape committee for the new nursing home. Do you recall what we were going to do in removing the soil in those 2 garden areas?
I think the recommendation was to go down, I want to say 8 to 10 inches, something along those lines, to remove it and then bring in.
Yeah, I saw a report from the woman that Bill Stockman had brought in to that meeting, and I think it said 18 inches.
Oh, maybe that was it. I know it was a lot.
Is that something the farm can do, or is that something we're gonna have to hire out to do?
To be honest, I don't know, and also on your time frame of when you're looking to do this and how quickly.
As soon as it's dry enough to get in there to do it.
You know, to go in and do that by hand, or are we gonna be able to rent a piece of machinery, or different things of those natures are gonna play into it too, I think. I'm not gonna be able to fit the backhoe in there through the fencing.
Part of the fence, one side of the fence has got to be taken down, I think.
Yeah.
In order to get any equipment in there, no matter what it is. I don't think one of those little bobcats would go in there.
I'm not sure. I know they got little excavators that can go all the way down to,
Yeah.
fit through doorways, but.
Is this for
I'm
transplanting the flowers, David?
Well, that's part of it, but this is for the two Alzheimer's gardens. A lot of shaded areas. That Master Gardener, a lot of the plants would be transplanted over, divided from over the other nursing home and brought over. There may be some new items. In the original landscape plan, there was some kind of a visual or activity type thing there, like a waterfall or a pool.
Fountain
or a fountain or
was a
something
waterfall,
like
wasn't
that,
it?
yeah. Something that they wouldn't fall in, but I mean, that would be attractive, that would get people out there, and that there wouldn't be any lawn in there at all, so there wouldn't be any maintenance as far as mowing lawns. So it's just a case, again, that's a project.
Didn't Representative McConkey make a very generous offer to do
Yeah, but he
digging
doesn't.
there, was it?
Yeah, but he,
Equipment too big?
I think I asked him if he could bring in some mulch, and he said he didn't have the equipment to do that.
Okay.
And that area there, right in front of the nursing home entrance, where that's gonna be an awful job, and you warned us about it, where all those daylilies are planted.
Yep.
That's gonna take a lot of time for inmates to clean that out.
Yep.
Is there any way that snow could be pushed in some other direction, other than everything ending up there?
I put as very little as I can there.
Yeah,
I mean,
seems
I
to be a
push-
lot of gravel and sand, maybe from sanding.
Well, yeah, what happens is that you sand, and then the next storm, that when you go to plow, the sand gets picked up with the plow and goes
Yeah.
right with the snow into the bank.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of snow in that area, and there's not a lot of places to go with it. As much as I can push away from the building, I do.
Yeah.
But there's some that's just unavoidable there, that has to go there, and I knew that from the previous winter,
Yeah.
on how to do it. It's just gonna be a mess to clean up. Hopefully the daylilies are rugged and can handle that.
You know, maybe to remove that soil in there, Commissioner Babson, you might want to take a look at it, as well as Commissioner Kenny. Maybe that's a small project that some local contractor could do. I know there was a local one that was interested out of Brookfield, but the whole landscaping thing was too big for them. But this kind of a thing might be something where we're going to take out 18 inches and then have to take from a screened loam pile and bring that into the area. Doesn't seem like a big project, but it's something that maybe a small landscaper could do that has that kind of equipment. I
Is the
suppose we
loam
need-
already screened?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
quite a good sized pile there, actually.
Yeah, I would say we have at least 800 yards. When we had 1,000
Going
screened.
out back by the woodpile.
Not quite that far.
Not that far.
Out that direction.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, we had 1,000 screened last year. I would say we didn't use more than 100 or 200. I don't even think we used 200, probably like less than 100.
Right. There are areas around that could be spread out. And I'm thinking right out here on the corner,
Mhm.
yeah. And maybe over by where the sheriff's department is, where they tend to park their cars.
Yeah, every
That driveway.
spring we have to do around there because the plow tends to
Yeah.
scrape it up.
Yeah.
And in the spring we use quite a bit around fixing lawns and stuff from the plowing. So
Right,
we
right.
will be using it up. This back here definitely needs to have some work done. I've been putting it off. I think we need to do something with the asphalt out here, because it's all, for about a couple feet in, it's all crumbling.
Yeah.
So every time people drive over it, it's just sending all these chunks out into the lawn and everything. Plus you have, when we go to do that, we have to pick some kind of grass that's a shade lover, because it's very shady right in that area.
Yeah. In the budget, they're gonna put some aprons in over at the jail.
Yeah.
Asphalt. Maybe that'd be the time to take a look at that, see how much square footage that's necessary, and maybe that company could do that job too.
Right.
Well, that's
Was
the
it
time to do it.
5,000?
They had $8,000 in the budget to do the apron over
Apron.
at the jail, and the committee cut it down to 5,000. And I think you ought to get together with Jason and find out if he's got someone coming to quote the job and get an actual figure.
Okay.
You might as well get them both when they're through unloading all their
Yeah.
equipment. You might as well have them do it now.
Yeah. I would also suggest that, we use quite a bit of mulch, don't we, around?
Well, this is gonna be a new year to
Yeah.
give you an accurate answer on that. I mean, obviously, we're gonna probably need to put some fresh stuff around the daylilies up in that circle as
What
we
if
clean up.
we purchased a trailer truckload of mulch and dumped it out here somewhere around the gas tank or something a little bit out,
Mhm.
that we could use periodically to mulch different garden areas and get that brown stuff. I don't know where that comes from. But I'm sure is it Windy Ridge? Not Windy Ridge, but Windy Farm.
Oh, Windy Fields?
They,
Yeah.
yeah, they sell it, so they must know where to get a
Right.
truckload, a trailer truckload
Yeah,
that we would use over maybe a couple of years, I don't know. I don't know how much is used, but I think there's a lot of areas that could be mulched, and it'd look a lot nicer with that kind of a mulch.
right.
So if you'd look into that.
We could put it right there in the new compound area and make it look nice under the cars after you've cut down all the trees.
Now, if we go with something, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm just wondering if we go with the big quantity that's gonna last us 2, 3, 4 years.
I'm not sure it's that long, but yeah, go ahead.
You know, I just don't know how much we're gonna use, so until we determine that, to see how big of a load we get. But if we have it sitting around for a while, does that stuff lose its color, and does it start to break down as it's sitting in the pot,
Lose
basically
its
compost?
nutrients?
Well, not
Yeah,
nutrients, but compost down, does it, or is
We
it?
don't put mulch on for the nutrient
Right.
reason, but it's to keep the weeds down and keep the moisture in, basically.
Right,
And we're gonna need, I think we're gonna need quite a bit.
I just wouldn't wanna have, the first year, we have it nice and fresh in the spring when everything's done, and then 2, 3 years,
Yeah.
it's dyed its color from sitting out in the sun or
But
something.
what you put
like that.
on would be dying too.
True, it just
fading
wouldn't
out.
have that fresh look the following year when you go to put it on, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
You know who else you could check with, Willie, is Fritz and Katie Heckler down at the corner by Tractor Supply. They
Oh,
get
right
a
before
live-
them?
They get a live bottom truck in there, and town discontinued the road, so they dump it right there in the road, and he comes in 2 or 3 times a year with theirs, so you could find out. Seems to me theirs comes from down around Portsmouth,
Oh, okay.
but,
I just think of a large truck, meaning quantity, it would be a reduced price versus having a
Right.
small truck come in.
Right.
And we did manage to get mulch out of, it's a New England box, or whatever that is, in Ossipee and Tamworth. They didn't charge us anything for what we got. It's just quite a mixture of things. It's not nice, as nice looking as this brown
Right.
shredded up mulch, I guess.
you talking mulch or compost?
Mulch.
Both,
Mulch to go
Mulch
around all the
turns into
trees.
compost, probably.
because there's a big outfit down in Portsmouth or Greenland that composts and sells it. That's their business, so,
In Greenland?
yeah.
Yeah, this is more of a mulch, I believe is what he's
I think
looking
that's
for.
what, I think the Hecklers give that, but I'm not sure.
we got all the trees that the landscape company did last year for us as part of their contract of putting it in this year. Assumingly, we put all fresh stuff on it for the year.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. You all set for the snowstorm?
Yes, we're down an employee right now, but we should be fine. Our part-timer is very willing to help out, and we'll be filling some shoes for a while.
Okay, you advertising for that position?
Yes, I believe Janice is working on advertisements.
Okay. You gonna be involved in the interview?
You want me to?
I think when the applications come in, Commissioner Babson ought to take a look at them also. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Sheriff, you got something you want to give us today?
Thank you. Sheriff, could you quickly explain again, I'm sure you already have, what is administrative?
Administrative could be anything in this building as far as calls for myself or chief deputy or lieutenant.
In other words, somebody just calling in and wants to
dispatch.
speak to you?
Yeah, basically, or anyone in the building for that fact.
Thank you.
Go ahead, whatever you want to.
That's
Talk
the
about it.
stats for the week. I think you're kind of getting used to what it all means, so if anything, you need any explanation on anything, go ahead and ask, but, Commissioner Babson had a couple questions during the budget meeting, as far as interest on the accounts that we turn over to the general funds. There are no interest on any of our accounts.
No.
Probably because there's no fees involved, so.
And it doesn't stay in those accounts very
Right.
long.
And last year, we turned it over 6 times to the general fund, and the year before was 7 times. So it seems to be every other month type of thing that we send a check to the general fund from our accounts.
And the reason for keeping the account is for records for the sheriff's department?
Yes,
Okay.
to show that the money's coming in. And
Go ahead.
So, maybe I misunderstood, Sheriff. You get a check, you send somebody out a bill, or when you serve a writ, you get a check, and you bring it back here.
yes.
What do you do with it?
It goes into the sheriff's account, Writ account. It's
Is that at
processed
a bank?
at a bank, yes.
And that doesn't draw interest?
No,
Why?
Not in
because
there
it's
that
a
long.
no-fee bank, and it's not going to be there long anyway, so.
It just gets turned over to our office in the general fund.
And then we
Well, then why
cut a
don't we
check
skip
to
the
the
bank and
county.
just give it to the girls in the office?
Because he needs to keep a record.
Right, need to keep record. We get audited I know it was a couple times when I was there, so the sheriff's department does get audited to make sure that the billing matches up with the checks and what we're receiving, so.
Oh, I guess I've lost something here. So you're worried about an audit. The check comes in, you check something off that says the people paid, then you turn it in, then you either give it to the bank, who the auditor, I'm sure, isn't gonna go to see if the check's there, and if you gave it to the girls, they would check it off. What more of a consistent
Checks and balance?
Checking a system or checks and balances, do you need than that?
Is it a policy that you have?
No, I guess I'll have to look at that as far as, for one, are you gonna have the girls in the business office doing it?
Well, you give the check to them eventually, you said.
But it's
Or
one
We
you
should
just
have
give
one
them one
check,
check
one check.
from
Right,
the
we're
bank?
talking
Six times.
$10,000 at a time we're turning over to
Okay.
15,000. So that's what you're seeing in the business office. We're getting and billing out all the $40 checks and all that.
Well, if you're giving them 6 checks, that's 2 months at a time, the money sits in the bank, why wouldn't you put it in an interest-bearing account? I thought you were talking about having it there 5 days, you've got it there 60 days or more, according to what you just said, you.
Right,
6
it
checks a
appears to
year.
be every other month
What the
almost.
interest rate is now on a savings
Well,
account?
It isn't very much, but if it goes up, what are you gonna do? Make
I'm
the changes then? Why
guessing-
not have it all set up?
Not being that familiar with that, the banking account, I'm guessing it's because there's no fees charged to us, that there's no interest
Oh, that's
charged
what you
to us.
meant, okay,
Yes.
okay, maybe.
So I don't think we can get both. If we have interest, we're gonna get charged fees from the bank. So, and I don't think the interest will cover the fees.
I think more that's a case, Sheriff, you have to keep a minimum balance in order to get the interest in with no fees. And if you're turning it that rapidly, you probably don't have enough for, it'd be worth looking into. Penny saved is a penny earned.
But I think we
Sometimes.
get interest on it when it's turned into us.
Yeah. But thank you for looking
Oh,
into
yeah,
that.
no,
But speaking of that, who's deposited the money now, the checks in the office? Because one is.
I don't know, whether maybe Kathy Gary's doing it, I don't know. She's a financial officer, so.
and as far as we know, there is no more, or not a scheduled subcommittee meeting at this point. They'll bring what they have to the delegation on the 22nd, I think it is. So.
I think that subcommittee did a very good job, and you people were very helpful.
So what was the question? I didn't get it.
Well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement as far as we won't have a future subcommittee meeting unless the delegation
Oh, okay.
sends us back to the
Yeah.
drawing board.
Okay.
That number 10 car, is that in service, number 10?
You're talking
Was
about the
out
one
here
out
this
back,
morning.
that is Steve Rose?
Oh, that's his? Okay.
Yes.
And so that stays here.
That's staying here
While
until
he's
he's
on light
100%.
duty.
Right, right. And again, we also have that vacancy. I did get an email from Janice as far as advertising. So if I could, I'd like to give her that information so that maybe we can hire that person by March 1st,
Yeah.
if possible.
Yep. Do you remember the discussion that took place Friday regarding the jail transporting and the sheriff's transporting out of Merrimack County? Mr. White gave that report.
Oh, you're talking about down at the Association of Counties.
Association of Counties, yeah. Review for us what transporting the sheriff's department does at the jail. Is it just from the jail to the courthouse? Or from Concord to the courthouse because of youth we don't house here?
It could be any number of things.
But it's strictly those, you don't take anybody to the hospital.
We do.
You do?
We had deputies called out, I think 3 times since I've been here, overnight, for medical reasons to pick up at the jail to bring the Huggins.
And sort of to stay in guard while they're in the hospital?
Yes, yeah.
You share that with the jail though, right? Isn't
We
there
used to. I'm not sure what's, yes, I mean, at most of the time, I guess they are doing it.
Okay.
There seems to be some questioning as far as those certain times that we have done it.
They may have been
whether it was
short.
right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
So,
To answer your question, I think the gentleman said the transporting they do is just from the jail to the courthouse.
The sheriff,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, the jailer, I thought he said it was just, or is it the sheriff that took it just from the courthouse to the jail?
The
courthouse?
sheriff,
And
I
they did-
believe.
And they did, and the jail did everything else.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, different counties are doing different things. Cheshire does not do transports for juveniles at all. They have for a long time.
So who does that?
They're now questioning, it's a new sheriff now. He is asking for feedback whether he should begin to do that or not.
Yeah.
I'm
It
not
isn't an
sure.
RSA, Sheriff?
No. No,
What you can do and what you can't do?
no, for
It's all
juveniles. Right,
Inter-county
Yep.
communication.
yeah. What that would force to do is the local police departments may have to pick up that transport for juveniles, if that's the case, if we no longer did it. It obviously is easier for us to do it,
Yeah.
being centrally located, than have Conway go down to Manchester or Nashua.
Were those three medical that you just mentioned, were they people that were in the jail that you had to pick up and take to the
Yes.
hospital, or were they people that were just bringing in to book, or somebody else?
They were in the jail.
Three of them.
Yeah,
One was
if I
Clyde,
recall, I
I believe.
believe it was
It's
three.
in a heart attack.
That's right.
Years ago, before the House of Corrections was able to get those vehicles from the sheriff's department, I believe the sheriff did all the
Oh.
transportation
We did,
to dentists, to doctors, to hospitals, the whole works.
we did.
And how did that come about getting changed? Because they got vehicles and they could do it?
They got vehicles. It was very time consuming for us, for the deputies to be standing in the dentist's office while
Yeah.
that goes on. And that was a weekly thing that they were sending at least one, if not two, inmates to go to the dentist. Even though it was close, it's still hour and a half time from getting them there and back.
Yeah.
So it was decided at that point that maybe the jail could do that, and they did, which is a big savings, obviously, time-wise for us, and in the end, budget-wise. The new legislature that they're trying to get for the county corrections to transport and have other powers through that
Yeah.
is obviously aware of that process going through,
How do you feel about that?
trying to get through.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
I have mixed feelings about that. They're not trained the same as us.
They'd have to have some training.
Some training, but again, it's not the training that we have to go through to have our arrest powers, to have our use of force.
But I think it's gonna be limited. At least that's what I requested, that it be limited,
It is.
because they shouldn't be out on the road stopping people. This is strictly for when they're transporting an inmate and they have a family.
Or anybody else that interferes.
It interferes with that transport or at the hospital or wherever, then they have the power to do the arresting. But other than that,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how it's going to be written up, being limited, but that's all I would see that be done.
Right, and it is looking to go that way, to be limited. And again, when you write any type of legislature or policies or rules, it all comes down to interpretation.
Yeah.
At some point, it might
And then
get,
that's going to be even up to the commissioners.
whether
as to
they
whether
want their
that-
county,
whether
because
that
they're in control
does
of
it or
each
not.
county separately.
They're
right.
making it available. If the commissioners decide they want to do that, handle it that way, then we would probably set the limitations as to what could be done. But the
Yes, I
powers
believe-
would be there, but without training, they can't arrest anybody.
Right. Right, no matter what, I don't think the training is gonna be through the New Hampshire Police Standards and Training Council, so
Yeah,
that's the
yet to be decided.
scary part.
Yeah. Okay.
So would you support it if they do go through the academy and have that training?
I would support it, but the reason that probably is not happening is funding. Funding is based off of motor vehicle traffic tickets for police standards.
Right.
They don't receive any funding outside of that, so the corrections departments would not be contributing to that funding, so unless they're gonna put it in their budget to give to the academy to train them, that probably won't happen.
Well, it may happen through the New Hampshire Association of Counties. And since they run the academy for the correctional officers, they may be participating in that or providing the training somehow.
Yeah.
Or in addition, well, I don't know. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, they're not governed by the same standards we are as far as background checks and all that, so
Yeah.
there is some friction between the sheriffs and the correction superintendents as far as this passing through, so.
The understanding
We all
is-
want it to be done correct, obviously.
The understanding is that the sheriffs are not gonna fight it. They're not too happy about it, but they're
If
not.
done correctly, they won't fight
They're not
it.
going to fight the issue.
If done correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, got any other questions for the sheriff? You got anything else for us, Sheriff?
I don't.
Okay, you're getting rid of that other second Humvee?
We are in the process of making that contacts to do that.
Okay.
I don't see that being a problem. So.
Does it go back to the government?
It will, yeah, yeah.
And it's not painted, so we don't have to repaint it in
Right,
camouflage, right?
Right. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was painted, if we would have to repaint, I'm not sure. That's a good question to bring up, just in case.
We don't want to bring it up. I've got a copy of inventory for your office. I saw it this morning. It's on my desk. I'll try to get it to you by the end of the day. It's an inventory of everything, and I think that took place when Sheriff Conley took over. And you may want to review it. I mean, it's got computers, it's got everything in it. As far as I know, it's got everything in it. But you may want to take a look at that and make sure everything is there. Okay? I'll get it to you by the end of the day.
You're not sure what that was dated? Because he
No,
did do a
I
couple
don't.
during his terms. There were a couple done.
Okay. I'll get it to you so you can look at it. Okay. You got something?
Yeah, well, just on the inventory, it's been quite a while. I would hope, Sheriff, that you do a pretty comprehensive review with everything that's happened in the sheriff's department and try to account for everything and where it's gone, if it's gone, or how it was gotten rid of, and where computers, where do they go? You know, I certainly would appreciate it.
Well, we have them. I can show you the room that they're all stored in. And that was a question I was going to ask John Rich, as far as, is there any value for the county to try and get rid of these computers that are either parts or not being used because they're so outdated? Can some
Commissioner Babson
schools
is
use
responsible for
them
the
or what?
jail, so maybe some of them could be used at the jail. I'm responsible for the nursing home, so maybe we could use some in the nursing home.
Yeah.
For those residents there that want to play a game on them
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm not sure how many are there, but we can ask Howie as to whether he thinks they can be used at the nursing home. Are they complete or?
They're complete.
just
They would
parts?
need a system. as
Well,
far as-
John-
They're all wiped clean as far as I know. and-
Okay.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you that. That was John's comment, as I recall. He said to wipe them clean was more costly than the value of the machine, or something to that effect, when we asked him about where these are going, and he said they had to be wiped clean. It was a very expensive process.
They said they wipe out the operating system,
Yeah.
everything. So the cost of buying all that software.
And you gotta
again
buy
is
the
just-
licenses back
You
to
could
put
go out
it
and buy a
in.
brand new computer.
I'm thinking of just using them internally without
Well, they
going
s-
outside.
If the operating system is wiped clean, then you would need to buy a Windows,
Oh,
probably, packet to reload.
all right, I guess that's up to him then.
So that's something I think we should look into and see what the cost actually would be, and
How many do you
if
have?
there's
Any
a
idea?
use, I'd say
3 or 4?
a dozen.
A dozen?
Wow.
Yeah, maybe a dozen.
So these were collected over the
Yeah.
years?
And their laptops
Nothing was ever
or
really thrown out.
towels?
They're towers. Yep. Yep. Things like keyboards we can keep. You do go through them, mouses, things like that.
Yeah.
But as far as the towers and things like that, they're here, but we really have no use for them anymore.
Mhm. Okay. Well, that's something that we can work with the nursing home and see what's usable there and talk with John to find out.
And if not, we can donate them to
Well, if
alternative
they donate
schools
them,
or
the
something like
people's-
that.
We still gotta get them wiped. They are wiped clean, you said now?
As far as I know, I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's no cost then to something like the nursing home? They just have to buy the
They'd have to
towel.
buy the operating system, yes.
Okay.
As far as I will double check on that, but from what I was told by the detectives, that's their thought.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Any further question?
Nope.
Yeah, thank you.
No? Thank you. Okay, Howie?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. We'd actually have use of computers if they were laptops, but we have surplus towers of our own that already have the software on them. So laptops are handy for the game playing and that, but
Mhm.
setting up towers in resident rooms get to be cumbersome and sometimes difficult. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you looking out for us.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you have all these towers or several of them over there. What do you do with them?
We don't know. We've only had them for about 2 weeks. John has just finished this week installing the new ones, so we're not really sure. We'll be keeping some for backup parts. We haven't wiped them clean, so they're still usable. We're going to be using 2 at least, maybe 3 for training purposes, and so that's going to leave us 1 or 2 or possibly 3.
Oh, so you don't have any abundance of these laying around?
No. No, we're in kind of a gradual process of over the years upgrading. These were, I believe they were either 7 or 8 years old and in need of replacing the ones that were just done. But they're still usable. They're slow, but they're usable.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do have some other things to bring you up to date on. Census today is up 102, including 5 skilled, with another admission scheduled for tomorrow or Friday. That'll bring us up to full house. We had 1 death in the last week. Budget 2013, work continues there to meet some of the questions that the subcommittee has, and especially in terms of staffing levels and full-time equivalents. So we're getting the backup information that they've asked. Trails Committee meeting, organizational meeting is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Becky and I have been meeting so far we've met with 2 out of 3 area hospice groups with the idea of improving services and also looking at ways that we might be able to maximize revenues. And so far, the first 2 groups that we've met with have been very productive in terms of explaining what they can offer in terms of services, and also how some of that might actually bring back additional revenue to the county as part of that process. The admissions policy has been submitted for your review. Working on a new staff annual evaluation format, one that'll be more goal-centered rather than just a straightforward look-back type thing, something that'll be it'll still meet the state requirements that Health and Human Services has, that each staff be reviewed, but that can be a little bit more progressive than what we have been using. We started with facilities with that, and Bob and I had some very good meetings with his staff.
Okay, I've got 2 counties' evaluation forms on my desk right now to look at that Janice has got from other counties.
Perfect.
I would hope that we try to standardize the evaluations if we can. Is there some particular subject in the evaluation that staff people need to be evaluated on?
There isn't. The state requirement from the Department of Health and Human Services is suitably vague. They're looking for an annual review. They also do require, and justly so, that if a weakness or an area in need of improvement is identified, that there's a corrective action plan developed for that.
Mhm.
And that's the part that I'd like to see built on. Our present one essentially picks 5 different areas, dependability, different things, and rates people from 1 to 5 on that. And it meets the requirement, but it doesn't do the goal setting of looking ahead, of deciding, where the staff member might need more help or attention, or in an interesting way, what the staff member needs from his or her supervisor.
Oh, okay. I recall our old evaluation form, which I also have in my desk, that it did have an area where you could suggest or recommend to the employee that they get further training on. But there's nothing in there regarding the supervisor communications or evaluation. I don't believe that's in there.
And that's where I find to be 3/4, 80% of the problem being, you have staff members meaning well, doing well, but sometimes there's not good communication between them and their supervisor, and this is sometimes it should never be the only time, but it's the most important time.
Yeah.
And looking backwards doesn't help things at all.
So in that case, would you say that the staff person would be evaluating the supervisor?
Well, it would be asking a specific question, not evaluating them, but one of the questions that I proposed and we experimented with Bob's group is, what could your supervisor be doing to help you do your job better? And, so it's not judging them, but it's asking them. It could be greater communication or it could be any number of things.
More supervision?
More supervision or
leave me alone,
or
so I can do my job?
Well, exactly. What it does is initiates the conversations. We're doing staff training at different levels about how to have difficult conversations, because everybody wants to avoid anything that's the least bit uncomfortable. And of course, that doesn't solve any issue. It doesn't even put it off. It makes it worse.
Mhm.
So this is and it worked out well with Bob, and I think it's and his is a pretty rough and ready group, and those guys did great with it. So I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure it's going to work equally well in other departments, perhaps tweaked and changed in ways to reflect the needs of each department.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see the ones that other counties are using. That anything we can borrow and learn from is better than reinventing.
I think our human resource director should be involved in that evaluation form. And I would hope that it'd be as uniform as possible for the whole complex. So I would communicate with her as to
I will
what you have.
share all my information with Janice.
Okay. Any questions regarding that?
No.
Okay.
We're continuing to develop our volunteer visitation program, with the goal being to essentially structure a program where we can ensure that every resident will get an outside visit at least weekly, and working with the lead coordinator of that program. In fact, she'll be in this afternoon. We also began February 1st a very modest staff attendance incentive. What we're trying to do is to reduce premium pay, on-call. So what we have is that if a regularly scheduled staff member doesn't miss a scheduled shift for a month,
Mhm.
they'll, and this sounds, and it might even sound trite, they'll get a sandwich, a certificate for a sandwich. Something to thank people for doing the right thing, rather than looking for punitive things to do to punish
Mhm.
people. It's not enough to be a material difference. Nobody's going to do it. But you have an awful lot of people that are coming in, day out, good weather, bad weather, whether they, they're not sick, but even on days where they might not be feeling great, they're still coming in. It's essentially a way of thanking people for making the extra effort. So, whether or not that's going to have a change on attendance, the expectation is that it can't but help improve morale. So it's a small thing. Somewhat related, but not terribly related, is that we also started a staff weight loss incentive program. that has no cost implications because you have to pay to become part of it. So it's Becky's idea, and it's called the Greatest Losers Contest. So we have 4 teams of about 6 each that'll be competing over 60 days. And whichever team loses the most money gets the money that the other teams are paid into. Here again, it's designed to be fun and also to develop some healthy eating, exercise things to promote wellness. We did have one use of agency staff, and that was last night, and that's the first time that I can remember in quite a while. So we continue to do well with virtually eliminating the need of using outside staff for coming in. We've been increasing our presence on Facebook. Last week, having a total reach of 527. Now, that might not, when you're watching TV and you're seeing people that have, talking in tens of thousands. But for us, having 527 contacts and having 315 likes is a pretty good day, pretty good week. People are paying attention to that. Medicare meetings were an established practice apparently for some time, discontinued. I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but they'll be starting up tomorrow with the intent of improving communication and hopefully through that perhaps even finding ways to enhance revenue. On the staffing end, we are looking for ways to arrange for coverage in accounts payable that will allow Lisa Howard to have more hours in social service. And meetings continue. In fact, meetings continue today with House of Corrections relative to the possibility of inmate labor. I'm still waiting for an answer from Jean Donahoe at the state. I've called and emailed her just to be sure that from the Department of Health and Human Services side that we don't run into any kind of obstacles there. I don't expect any, but I don't want to assume that it's necessarily without problem. But that is pretty much what's going on around and about Mountain View.
Okay. I'm just thumbing through the contract. One of the areas I'd like you to look at, Janice, what do we call it? Demerits, or they come in late, they get one, what do you call those?
Well, essentially a warning, right?
Well, he's thinking there's
not
a term in
warning.
the.
There's a term that we use for, they have up to 7 episodes. Look at that episode thing and see if we can't, and probably work with the HR person to see if we can't eliminate it. Maybe we have. I didn't do the contract last time.
It's there and it shouldn't be. An episode is 3 absences. So, and what it has the net effect of doing unintentionally is that if somebody's going to be out one day, well, if they're out 3 days, it's just 1 episode. 6 episodes becomes the justification for termination.
Right.
But what it does, it means that it keeps people out longer. And I've never seen such a thing, and I don't believe I don't think even the union anticipated that it was going to be used this way. I don't think it's going to be.
This was put in by the nursing home director about 3 directors ago.
Oh.
Because there was a problem of absenteeism and other things, and so this thing was set up at that point in time. I don't care for it, but I don't know what to put in the place of it. But I would suggest that you take a look at it and see if there's something else.
I think there's more traditional, and would look to Janice for guidance, but typically when people exceed their allocated sick time, they become candidates for disciplinary action, depending on circumstances.
Yeah.
And that's the more typical format that I'm familiar with. But the 3 episode parts actually complicates our life. I believe it increases the number of absences because of the perception of staff that if you're going to be out one day, you don't get punished anymore if you're out 3.
Yeah, that's the unintended consequence, that you set it up to have it work just the opposite, and now it's working against you instead of in favor of you. Why why come in after one day if an episode's gonna be 3 and you're gonna get charged with it anyway, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can understand what probably went into its formulation of wanting to have an ironclad way of guaranteeing that if somebody's out so many times that they're terminated. That can be a little harsh because of circumstances that in some cases can justify it, and there's some legal implications that if somebody has sick time on the books, can you fire somebody who also has sick time on the book? I'm not sure I think there are better ways administratively for dealing with excess, tardiness, and absenteeism.
The other example I would say is that if somebody comes in who is sick, they come in and you send them home, that's an episode. But it shouldn't be because the employee came in to work, probably shouldn't have because he or she was sick. But on the other hand, you don't want to infect the rest of the people, so you send them home, and that was an episode, and I don't think that's fair. It's not the employee's fault that they went home.
To me, termination is for the misuse of sick time or excessive absenteeism, which is usually defined as being beyond the amount of sick time that you have.
Yeah.
And so I think there are better ways that would serve both administration and staff.
Now, regarding sick time, it had been reported to me that there were a couple of people over there that were being paid that were on sick time but didn't have any sick time left. My understanding is that on everybody's voucher, check voucher, it gives you the number of days they have left in vacation and gives you the number of days that you have sick leave left.
Correct.
So there shouldn't be any problem.
Well,
And
there
Kathy
shouldn't.
Geary and your DON, your DON signs off as to whether they have sick leave coming or not. And Kathy Geary gives her the list of people that have time left on sick leave. So that should be getting straightened out, I hope.
Well, it is. Kathy now sends me the summary of all the benefits, and I distribute it to the department heads.
Yeah.
So that business office should only be paying benefits for benefits that are reviewed and approved by the supervisor.
Right.
Is actually being there.
But the supervisor didn't know before.
But they now
how
have
many
the
days,
sheets.
But now they do.
They do have the sheets.
Yeah.
There's another question that has come up of whether benefits should be accruing, whether benefits accrued on time worked, whether that's base hours or unpaid hours as well, and we need to clarify that.
I think it's all based on time worked.
I agree. And we believe that in some cases there have been hours accrued on benefit time paid, and that just doesn't make sense.
No.
And there's also a question of whether benefit hours accrue on overtime. And in the typical arrangement, in my experience, it doesn't. But that's something that we need to clarify as
Right.
well.
Yep.
But Kathy has been great about getting that information to us, and what we want to do is to take the responsibility off of her from having to determine whether somebody has hours,
Mhm.
or so that it's,
Yeah.
essentially have, because we don't want, if there's a need for somebody to ever go negative, it should be by clear-cut exception, eyes open, not as a routine function that because somebody submitted it. The staff could very easily submit it. They were out that day, they put down 8 sick without thinking, checking, or whatever. We have to be sure that before those 8 hours are paid, that we know that they're really 8 hours in the bank.
Yep. Good. Anything else?
Nothing that I have for
You
you.
got anything?
No.
Asher?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, little thing, yes, at the coffee hour, when are you going to have that?
Whenever is good for any or all of the three of you,
Oh.
for a commissioner's coffee hour, because the residents would clearly like that opportunity.
And this is for
We would
staff, too.
If it's in-
When would you like us to do it?
Well, from there, most any morning is we can work around just about anything that's good for you.
What's the timing?
It's pretty flexible. It would be best that it be no later than, that it ends no later than 10:30, because
Oh.
at that point we start transitioning into lunchtime or whatever. So, something that would start and end before 10:30 would be ideal. Not that, it could go to 11, but we're getting close to staff lunches and things. 10:30 would be a good cutoff time, and any time earlier than that.
I thought that we discussed we were going to do it before the commissioners meeting.
That's what I thought we were going to do, yeah.
See, early is
talked
fine.
about it.
Early would be better.
Yeah,
So that
Start
could,
our commissioners meeting a half an hour later or an
yeah.
hour later and come in the morning to save these two folks from having to drive. I only live around the corner, so
no,
it's no problem for me.
We had it something like 8 o'clock,
early would be great. So that would
and
be,
then we could go till 9, and then we'd come back here.
that would be fine.
All right.
Then that could, all you need to do is to tell me whether it's a certain week per month or every other month or whatever time you like.
Let's try once a month right now.
And do you want to have a first date, first Wednesday to
Sure.
start on?
Sure.
How about the 20th?
20th at 0800.
So our meeting would start at 9 o'clock on the 20th.
And 8 o'clock for the coffee?
Yeah.
Meet and greet.
To make it worthwhile, we need to be there at 8 o'clock.
Yep.
No, that'll be great, and that'll be very, very welcomed and received by residents and staff.
So you have the 20th of February at 8?
20th at 8?
I just happened to make one. Keeps us from being. Thank you all.
One other thing, Howie, I said earlier, I'm meeting with the Ossipee Rotary, and I want to try to get them involved in those gardens.
Perfect.
We need to either get that committee back together again, that landscape committee, for those two gardens especially. I want to do that and do the planting this spring, so that money that we're holding out gets used for those purposes.
Was there anybody who was head of that committee? Was there a lead person?
Sandy McKenzie really sort of organized it. But there was a master gardener involved. Will was on that committee. At that time, Commissioner Albee, in fact, when he was not reelected, he was still on it.
Let me see if Chip is
I
still
can't think
willing,
of who
because I know
else it was.
he's very active on the, and actually, and Sandy is too, on the Friends of
Yep.
Mountain View.
Yeah,
So that might be a good place for them to at least invite in other
she
people.
knows more about it, yeah.
No, it'd be good to get her back involved, too.
Go ahead.
Well, it's a different subject.
Go ahead.
One of the things I had from Mike during the discussion for the work session was, it's a silly little idea, but, you know, they might get some enjoyment out of it over at the nursing home. As I came out the other day, I noticed you had one bird feeder hanging there by the door, and then the Rotary was looking for a project. Would it be nice to have a series of birdhouses around that the people can look out the window and see them in their front yards from?
As long as they don't attract pigeons.
Well, that's what I was gonna.
Pigeons was a problem.
Well, pigeons are a small problem compared to bears.
Bear?
Bears. So there gets to be a point in time where a bird feeder becomes a bear feeder. And
That might be exciting.
Well,
Bear
it would
comes to the bird
definitely be,
feeder.
it would definitely be exciting. I like the idea of bird feeders. We just have to be aware of that if they ever became an attractive nuisance to bears, we'd have to take them in during
Or
certain
the other
amount of
thing
time.
is the geese.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I think David's more on the track here with pigeons and geese than bears. But bears, you can bring them in for 3 or 4 weeks, but the pigeons and
Yeah.
geese are
They get
permanent
used to it.
residents.
Keep on coming.
The other thing that would love to talk to the Rotary Club about would be whether or not they'd be interested or willing to help in supporting the flagpole campaign,
Oh,
which would be even easier for them, but certainly bird feeders, anything like that would be wonderful. I know that one of our dining staff, his last name is Osgood, now all of a sudden I'm forgetting his first name, Asa, is heading up that whole campaign, and he's
for
going
the flagpole?
for the flagpole. He's going to be approaching the VFWs and the American Legions, and I want to start a program of being able to try to present to the Rotary clubs and Kiwanis clubs and the service, any service organization that might
Okay.
be interested.
How what if one of those clubs would want to do the whole thing and put a little plaque saying that it was donated by the Ossipee Rotary Club?
We would welcome that completely, because there'll be plenty of other opportunities for other kinds of service.
Any idea on a cost?
The cost would be under $1,500. And I say that with confidence, because just had a very similar one built. They're actually fabricated here in state, or can be, and it's what I'd recommend. And given that we don't have any problem with lighting, I'm sure that $1,500 would put a 30-foot flagpole in and do a nice job of it.
Okay,
Go
ahead.
I can't remember whether I told you, Howie, I went to the town of Ossipee about the cans and
The recycling.
recycling. Did I tell you that Mr. Harriman is going to look into it and get back with a proposal of how we might go about it, and then we can go to the selectmen and talk to them?
I think it'd be great. I didn't know that it had been definite. I knew that you'd be going, but I know that there's kind of a groundswell of support by staff and residents to want to do the right thing with recycling. And all the better. If it pays for itself, all the better. And if it just requires, separate collections, staff feel bad throwing recyclables away into the general trash. So it'd be a welcomed initiative.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you all.
Thank you. I'm going to go to the restroom.
You want a 10-minute break?
Oh, yes, that.
Okay. We'll have a recess for about 10 minutes. Get downstairs to do that.
Write the number.
Okay. I guess we're at the point now of Commissioner's work session, but as you can see on the agenda, non-public conference call again with legal counsel. The note that I've got is a call before 11:15, and I think maybe that's what we ought to do. But before then, maybe we could have public input from anybody. Go ahead.
Just a quick note. You're talking a lot about recycling, and just over the past, several months, we happen to, come across a lot of different electronics, like used cell phones, like the sheriff department was talking about, and these towers and all that. And, the prices of computers now, you can get them so cheap, it's ridiculous. It's like an appliance, you just throw it out afterwards. But you'll go back 8 years, and when these equipment was being used, there's so much gold in that if you looked into possibly recycling, you can just sell the stuff on eBay. But just take the rods out, throw them, destroy them, but just rip everything apart and recycle them. You'd be surprised how much money you can get out of that. So even cell phones, it could be, the towers, laptops, but whatever's no good, you get a lot of money out of that.
Apparently, we have a lot of towers.
Yeah, well, that's, again, just the RAM and all that different type of stuff in there.
Yeah.
When gold was $350, $450, they would, dip in the little tabs in there like it's nothing.
Yeah.
But now it's, things are coming apart.
1,800 an ounce or whatever.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
something.
Thank you. Go ahead, Melissa.
I'm just trying to plan the rest of my day, so you have a conference call with your attorney,
We have a conference call, non-public,
okay, and then you have.
and we're going to have a non-public after that
with
here.
the jail captain,
Yeah.
11-ish.
Yeah.
And then you're going back into your public meeting, and you're doing
We need to.
chapters of the policy?
Yeah, we'll do some more work on the handbook. Yep.
Okay, thank you, I was just kind of.
Okay. Damon?
Oh, just during the break, we talked to Howie about the public hearing idea, and he seemed supportive, but it's at your pleasure, so it's up to you.
Yep, okay. I haven't had a chance really to review that, what he came up with for final thing, but we can look at a public hearing next week.
Holding the public hearing or just discussing it?
Well, what's the pleasure of the board?
I think we should, once we, as I said before, once Howie is putting their final plan, which we have now, that we have a public hearing. We may get somebody, we may not, but nobody can accuse us of not having tried.
Yeah, okay. Would you suggest when?
In the evening sometime, 6 o'clock. Seven, probably even better. Maybe do two, maybe do one down here and one up in Conway.
I would suggest we do one and see who turns out for it.
Well, if you're sitting up in Conway and it's.
I'm in
the
Conway
forecast
or in
is-
Eaton.
Yeah, somewhere up there. Just, we've got such a diverse county, I don't think we should do two, one down here and one up there.
When would you like to have it?
Well, let me start with one.
What's that?
Let me start with one first.
Okay, we'll start with one right here. When do you want to do it? Any suggestions? Come on.
I haven't got my thing opened up yet.
Next week?
Well, I think we ought to have at least enough time to let the public know that, as Ed mentioned here while you were out, David, that, the Rotary Club's try to get it out somewhere that we're gonna have it for the public rather than do it, announce it and have it in 2 days.
Well,
Let's
I
give them a
wouldn't-
fair chance
I
to,
wasn't thinking of doing that, but maybe the 15th? Friday the 15th?
fine with me.
Friday the 15th, Ash?
Yeah.
What time?
Well, Friday, are you gonna get people interested coming on a Friday night?
Or you want to do it St. Valentine's Day, the 14th?
Oh, that's nice.
That'll save a lot of guys a lot of money, I'm in favor of that.
7 o'clock?
What is it now, the 14th?
14th?
Okay,
Thursday night, the 14th at 7 o'clock?
is that gonna give us enough time to get the word out that we're gonna have this hearing?
Well,
That's why you
Well,
have to get the
newspapers
I'll
here,
file something.
newspapers there. Go on the website. It's on the film. 7
Okay.
PM here
7 PM.
to discuss the
Admission policy.
admission policy for the nursing home, okay.
Is the admission policy, is it on the website? Can people review it before they come?
Sure, it can be put on the website. Okay, I think, any other public input? Ed?
About advertising for the hearing, don't forget about Facebook. The Mountain View community has a good Facebook page with a lot of contacts. I have contacts, so you can get the word out, have a flash mob
Okay.
type of public hearing. I also think the idea of utilizing local organizations like Boy Scouts, the Rotary Club, is an excellent idea over using a federal AmeriCorps. So I think it's good to keep it local. So I think that's a good idea. The hay sales,
Mm-hmm.
I really believe, this is my personal comment, I really believe that is competing with the local hay distributors and growers.
At, I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah, so I think that's
At
definitely
4,
competing.
what was it, $4.50 a bale?
No, it was.
4 something and then $5 delivered?
5, $4.25, I think it was, $4.25 a bale and $5 if it's delivered.
I think we'll check with other places like the Market Bulletin and find out what other people are getting, and we will not undercut them.
That's just my opinion on that. Also, I have an opinion on giving arrest authority to the corrections officers. I know you don't make that decision, but I'm not in favor of expanding the police state. I don't think it's necessary. I also think it's not a good idea, and I know you don't have any way of controlling this, the funding for the training for law enforcement and the sheriff's department comes from ticket writing. I think that encourages tickets or summonses that.
I don't think we have anything to do with that.
You don't, but it's just my opinion on what
Okay.
I said. I also wanted to know when the commissioners are going to vote on accepting the grant money for sobriety checkpoints. Do you know when that application will come to you?
I don't know, but I believe last week, was it Chief Deputy Young presented two grants here? And I believe Commissioner Babson, do you have it? You were going to look into it?
Which one was that?
From the
Grants to
Sheriff
Sheriff's
Young.
Department?
I believe he brought two grants here.
Highway safety.
You
grant.
said you were going to look into it.
The
We
highway
need to-
safety one and the tank patrol.
Or was that
Or
from
the-
last week?
Yeah, it wasn't the sobriety one.
No,
I didn't get them, Commissioner Kenny.
Oh, he brought it here and he said you were going to not approve it last week, but maybe this week because you were going to look into it. So
Not
where is
me,
that
I
now?
don't have any questions with the
Oh, okay.
grants.
I don't either.
So, but
I
we
don't know
still
what
need,
happened to 'em,
we
but I
still
don't
need
have
to
'em.
approve them. Do it there.
Okay.
Because when these grant applications come through, it never really shows up on the agenda when you're gonna be voting on it. It may say, safety grants, but then
Mhm.
within that safety grant is the sobriety checkpoint money, and then the public can't respond if they would like to in the positive or the negative. So I would just like some, possible alert that will be on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we need to have a motion to go into non-public for conference call for legal counsel. And I think we need to do that right away.
Can I
Go ahead.
respond to Ed very quickly?
Go ahead.
Ed, I sell quite a bit of hay, and I don't consider the county farm a
Competition?
competition at all. Perhaps a little bit in December and January, but I don't start selling mine till the end of February, so that I'm sure that I'm gonna have to feed my own animals. And I don't consider them I'm not gonna go to anybody's house and take it off and stack it in their barn, and I don't consider them competition. The other thing is the police academy is funded, the legislature voted on that, and that's funded from, I believe it's court fees and that come from tickets and other activities. I know that's how it's funded, and I'm just not sure whether it's strictly traffic or it includes other fines.
So you don't feel that would be an incentive to write more unneeded tickets and summonses to fund their training?
I'm just telling you how it's funded. I didn't want to get into a debate whether they're out arresting people to fatten up the till or not. I don't believe they are. I don't believe when a police officer writes a ticket, he says, wow, it's 62 miles an hour, I need more money to run the certification program, I'll give him a ticket instead of a warning. I don't believe that happens.
Thank you.
All right, Melissa? You all set?
I'm all set.
All right,
So we're making a call now?
you all set?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Understand.
I'll make the motion, we recess to make a call to the attorney.
Okay. I'll second it. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So voted then. The board to go back into regular public session after a recess.
And
And,
I make a motion to go into non-public for jail personal issue.
Okay, I'll second it. All those in support or any further discussion on that motion? Then I'll ask for a roll call, I guess?
Commissioner Babson,
Yes,
Commissioner Sorenson.
Yes.
Commissioner Kenny, yes.
Okay, then so voted. So we'll wait for Jason to get here, otherwise we're in non-public.
Sorensen.